Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. It is Monday the 26th. We have an amazing guest with us today. Karen Rudolf is here with Tranquil SOULutions. I love the name of this company. I love the website. I love the whole thing. We're going to talk about designing your future fearlessly, living by design. Karen has a lot of work under her belt. She's done great things in our community and in our world, and we're just excited to have her on. Hi, Karen. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Excited. Love your background. I'm already tranquil, so we're in good shape. So before we went live, we talked about how the audience loves to know your background, sort of your journey. It's not like you had a Tranquil SOULutions Barbie, for example, when you were little. So there's always a journey involved. So share a little bit about that with.
I started out in a space where I was in an abusive relationship, and I was a people pleaser. And I didn't know how to get out of that situation. And I was doing 6 hours of carpooling at the time, and gave up my nursing career to be a stay-at-home mom. And 6 hours of carpooling, I didn't know if I was coming or going. I had horses at the time, and it was like, it got into a space of never enough for me, because it was like, why aren't you cleaning the house? Okay, I clean the house, but you have horses. Why aren't you doing this? And I was just like, I didn't know if I was coming or going back then. And divorce ended up coming around the corner. At the same time, I had lost my first horse here in Florida to a lightning strike. And right around the time of I was devastated from that, but right around the time of my divorce, my second horse got struck by lightning. And and I got the chills just thinking about it. And the vet said to me, Karen, you're going through a divorce. You have 3 children. They're young. It's going to cost a lot of money. How, put them to sleep. And I just remember being still for a moment and going within and opening my eyes. And it was like something just came through me that said, no, he's going to survive. And not only is he going to survive, but he and I are going to be catalysts for change. And it was like, who said that? Kind of thing.
Wow. That gave me chills.
And the vet was just like, are you sure? And I went, yeah. And that was the beginning of my journey. And then right around that same time, my mom ended up getting sick. And my mom was a hypochondriac. She had a very low self-esteem, self-worth. No coincidence that I ended up growing up with that same consciousness, not knowing what I didn't know. It just had me frozen and people pleasing to get attention, and just like 3 feet behind my former husband. And just, I just didn't know what I didn't know at the time. And part of what I did during those 6 hours of carpooling was I would listen to audio tapes. I would do a lot of self-help at that point, not knowing what I didn't know. I had gone into Borders bookstore when Borders was the big thing. And I always believe in synchronicity. Like, there's never any coincidences. I believe that people come into our life for a reason or a season. And this woman at the next table was listening in to my conversation, and she said, oh, here's a book by Joel Osteen, Your Best Life Now. And I went, and she walked away. She said, you got to read this book. And I was like, she says, keep your eyes up. You're going to get through this. And I went to the bookshelf, and I'm looking at Joel, and I'm like, be that. No, I'm not ready for this. And I remember getting something at the library, a notice that I had a book on tape. Back when I'm aging myself, there's CDs back then. And all of a sudden, it was like I went to the library, and she put this CD on the table with her hands on top of it and slid it towards me. And to my surprise, when she took her hands away, it was Joel Osteen's Your Best Life Now. And I was frozen because I never ordered it. I don't recall ever ordering it. I went, okay, universe is talking. So Absolutely. I went home and I listened to it, and it changed my world. I remember CD number 3, I was crying my eyes out. I was living my pity party, like, oh my God, life is over and my world is over. Who's going to want me with 3 kids and blah, 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 blah. What am I going to do? I have no direction, no purpose, da, 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 all of that. And I just remember something shifting within me. And as I said earlier, my mom got sick, and I never really had time for her. I mean, I hate saying that now, but I was 6 hours of carpooling, running around with 3 kids and going through all of what I was going through. I didn't have time for her hypochondriacism, to be honest with you. And looking back on it, I mean, I felt terrible about it, but when I got it, I got it. And one of the things that Mom had started doing was, she was probably in her 70s. She started an art class and taking art lessons, I should say. And what she did was, she would go and paint a picture, and she had no one to share it with. So she would go to the doctor's office with a migraine headache, and doctors, what do? They treat the symptoms. They don't look for the cause. So they would put her on medication, and then she would paint another picture and go back, and the nurses would do and on. Before you knew it, she was on 19 medications. And one day I didn't hear from her, and I was like, what's wrong with this picture? And I remember calling her up, and she was slurring her words, and literally dropped everything, got a sitter, dropped everything, drove 2.5 hours. And she literally was on the floor. I literally scraped her off the floor, and I said, the buck stops here. Not only am I going to be a catalyst for change, but I am not on my watch. And every single thing I've done has aligned with my purpose since then. The universe is just like, the alignment is wonderful. So,
isn't it? Alignment's to me, it's everything.
Everything.
And you sometimes don't even you feel it. I feel it, but a lot of people don't know how to feel it, and I think they miss it sometimes.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So part of what I've done, so people can feel it, because it is all about the feeling, is I started designing these courses as a transformational life coach. What I do is I've created all these transformational experiential context for people to really get who they are and expand from there, that there's nothing wrong. We don't know what we don't know until we know it, right? And I remember being in that space of thinking I was stupid. And it was a story I was running since I was 5 years old. And then I realized I'm not stupid. I might do stupid things now and then, but which shifts the whole perception. So everything I do is about shifting perception. And I have a series that I've created called Live by Design, and Live by Design abundantly, Live by Design fearlessly is the challenge that I'm running this week. It starts today at 4 Eastern time. And that's all about really getting present to, there are ways and means of expanding yourself and using the fears as a driver rather than something that's going to freeze you and keep you stuck in life. And it's there to support you, So
talk about, so there's so much about this. By the way, thank you for sharing all of that, because I think it's so important. There are so many people who have been in an abusive relationship. So many people who have dealt with parental issues as an adult. So many people who are walking around, I say it all the time on the show, they still haven't really had a chit chat or healed that little kid that has those limiting beliefs you talked about earlier. But I love you're designing it. Designing it implies that you're doing it, you're creating it, you are making it. So I think what you have is people who, first of all, don't know how to do that, because honestly, they've never been shown anything but whatever their narrative was prior to this. And then add the word fearlessly in there, and they're all sorts of scared. So they might be able to get to the Live by Design and go, all right, I think I know what I want. But then the fearlessly part, which to me is everything, is even more of a challenge. So talk a little bit about the process. If somebody's listening and they want to learn more, they're in a situation that you talked about or something similar, where they just want to get out of their own crazy minds and figure out how they can move forward. What are some things that they can do to start the design process?
Well, it's all about awareness. Once you get the awareness of where you're at and what's driving you or not, you have to place. You get to choose. You get to choose where you want to go from there. So I always say, create the awareness first. One of the things I do with my clients is I start mind mapping. So this way, it creates whole brain thinking, and they get to see it in a visual context. And once they see it in a visual context, it's like, whoa, like I had no clue. Well, we don't know what we don't know. So what I do, is, especially in Fearless Leads, is going to be breaking it down and looking at your values and looking at where you can be 100% responsible to. And once you're willing to take that on, then you're able to really build on everything builds upon itself. Number one, as I said, it's creating awareness. Number two, it's looking at your strengths and your weaknesses, and forget about the weaknesses. They're just there. I don't even acknowledge the weaknesses. They're there. What can I build with this moving forward? A lot of coaches will, let's look at the weaknesses. Well, that's pulling you backwards. Your words create your reality. So if you're looking to attract that into your life, then you want to really look at the powerful perspective of who you are and who you wish to become. So you look at that. Be bold. Take risks. Step into the unknown, because the fear is coming from a lack of knowledge. And we don't know, what we don't know until, even if you get a toe wet, at least you're taking an action. One action is better than no action at all.
I totally agree. I think it's important. You mentioned something earlier, and I want to go back to it. I'm big on accountability. And I think a lot of people, both of us, I have an abusive background as a child. You can go to the victim mentality and utilize that for the rest of your life, or you can take some responsibility that I'm 31, 32-year-old man. We all know that's a joke. But I'm an adult, and now I need to begin to figure out how to take responsibility for what I'm allowing to continue instead of addressing the issues. And that's where I think the fearlessly comes in. We don't necessarily love to be shown that we have a responsibility in the game.
No, we don't like it. I certainly didn't like it. Everything I teach, I've done myself. I've gone through myself. I've expanded myself, and I continually choose to expand. It becomes a choice. Once I stepped into full responsibility, my life just opened up. I started traveling globally. I started, getting connected. I'm very connected with the creativity community, which is global. And what I'm bringing into Live Life by Design is all those creativity skills, and it's shifted, which supports shifting perception. So instead of I'm trying to do something, well, we're not trying anything. Trying is a cop-out for being responsible. You're just making excuses for yourself. So shifting the words that are coming out of your mouth, as I said before, words are so powerful. It's like, how can I, or how might I, which is a more conducive to what you want to get, because what's going to do is engage your left brain to start thinking in alignment with where you want to go, rather than that stop, I'm trying, but I really don't want to, because I don't want to do
Exactly.
So what I'm doing is I'm teaching these skill sets now, and I'm teaching them within the Live by Design series. I had created a mastermind group out of that. So it's just constantly expanding yourself one step at a time, and realizing that you're never alone. And you get to choose whether or not you want to be in a community of like-minded thinkers. I create thinkers. I'm totally clear that I create thinkers this way, because when you're thinking it, then you step into more responsibility. But we're not taught to think. It's like,
we really aren't, and that's why a lot of people rely on old bad habits or learned behavior that got them through a mess, maybe as a kid or a young adult or whatever they were dealing with. And so we go back to those because it worked that one time, and by God, I'm going to figure out how to make it work this time. I think if you step outside, there's all this discussion about comfort zone. That's such a big buzzword or buzz term. But in reality, comfort zone could encapsulate anything that is keeping you down, keeping you in that instead of growing.
Yeah, it's very limiting. Comfort zones will definitely limit you. I know so many people who have never even stepped out of their communities, let alone into a whole state or into a country or, further on, because they limit themselves with these scarcity thoughts. When you start stepping into a world of abundance, which for me is more of a spiritual context, but doesn't have to be spiritual. I'm not here to teach people or tell people what to do or how to do it. I just give ideas of how to expand that consciousness to create an abundant mindset. Because when you change the way you look at things, the way you look at things change. And until you really get present to that and create the awareness, there's no choice. You can choose, but remember, not choosing is still a choice.
Yes, powerful. All right. See how fast it goes. So I love that. And I love the fact that we're talking about this on a Monday where a lot of people get up and they like, oh my God, it's my same life all over again. It's like Groundhog Day. And so I love the fact that we're talking about this today because I really believe 2020 opened a lot of people's eyes. Absolutely. But they haven't taken the steps that at least their eyes were open, but they haven't figured out how to take that baby step. And so what's the best way for people to reach out to you, learn more about Live by Design, and learn more about Tranquil SOULutions?
Well, Live by Design begins at 4:00 today. I still have spots open, and basically we start with awareness, as I shared earlier, and awareness to what happened in 2020 and what to do with it. So that's how we start this program this afternoon. So if you go to my Karen Rudolf, that's RUDOLF. If you go to my Facebook site, you'll see the postings there for the Eventbrite. You have to join Eventbrite. You have to ask for a connect with me so I can invite you into the group. It's a private group. And that's one way of connecting with the Live by Design series, number one. Number two, my www Tranquil SOULutions, SOULutions. It's so funny about Tranquil SOULutions, just as a little aside. My girlfriend worked in New York in the advertising company, and when I came up, name was the download. And she says to me, Karen, you're never going to make money and you're never going to become anything with a name like Tranquil SOULutions. And I thought, that's like stripping me of Karen. That's like feeling naked right now. That doesn't work for me. I was sick of it. 3 years later, she came back to me and she said, that is so totally you, because I don't feel I need to be yelling and screaming at people and telling them how they, brimstone and fire kind of thing.
Yes.
There are tranquil ways of doing things where we don't have to stress ourselves, because every thought you think affects every cell of your body. And every cell of your body is attached to every organ of your body. You get to choose to be in dis-ease or create your ease.
Amen to that.
Yeah, so that's been one of my biggest ahas through my course getting struck by lightning. My spiritual mentor said to me, what is, when are you going to look up lightning strike? And I went, because I don't want to be responsible for it. I know what it meant. It's new innately. And it's all about, when I finally did, it's all about being the light in the world. And that's where I stand in my conviction, is being a light in the world and really shifting that energy of perception so your light shines.
Love it. All right, Karen Rudolf, that was so good. Go to tranquilsoulutions.com or go to Karen Rudolph's page. It's got an F at the end, not a PH. Go to her page on Facebook, request the invitation, do everything that she just said. That was so good. I want people to get involved. I feel like people are hungry for your message, thirsty for your message and what you're giving to the world. And I love the part about being a light in the world. So thank you for coming on and sharing. It was so good.
Thank you for the opportunity. I
love it. And I'm already tranquil. I said before we went live, your background's tranquil. Your voice is very tranquil. And so I am definitely calm. And I like that, because you're right. That is such a big difference. If you're already agitated and have agita and you're running your whole world like that, that tranquility can really bring you back and make some changes. Thanks, Karen, for being on the show. We love you guys. Make sure you go to tranquilsoulutions.com. She's kicking off the design workshop series tonight. You can still get in. There's still some spots. But she's also a transformational coach, so reach out to her if you've been thinking about that and see if it is a wonderful fit. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.